Hello, YouTubers, friends, compatriots, bootlicker, shills, debt slaves, serfs, peasants, vassals, minions, meat sacks. I'm a useful idiot. Welcome. So recently, as Rand Paul always does, noble congressman, lined out $1 trillion worth of waste in Biden's spending. And this is nothing new, but it got me to thinking about the fact that he pointed out all these pet projects and all these exotic things like studying the sexual habits of tree frogs in the Amazon and such nonsense. And it brings up a couple of things. One is the fact that it's other people's money, it's taxpayers' money, and it goes to the government, and we have no say where it goes. And because it's not their money, and it's just a little sack of money that's given to Congress and the government, they spend it on whatever they want to, and it ends up being a huge amount of waste. And when you add up all the projects, it adds up to what Rand Paul aptly points out is $1 trillion in waste. So we have these gigantic budgets, and in this case, trillions of dollars. And Rand Paul can actually point out $1 trillion of it that's waste. And when you look at all these pet projects, it's clear that huge amounts of money are going for things that are hardly necessary, particularly when we have a lot of great needs in so many areas. And another recent story points out a good example of this, and that's that $3 billion was paid for so far 93 electric postal vehicles, which averages out to $32 million per truck. And of course, the other insidious part of this is the contract was given to a defense contractor, Oshkosh. And so that's how it goes. This money is allocated, and then it's handed out to defense contractors and relatives and the like. And we see that all the time. Good example of that is these huge budgets they pass and these battles we have over debt ceilings. The last spending package was 1,500 pages, loaded with just tons of spending bills. And these spending bills can be lined out in a bunch of different categories. One of them, of course, is payback to the lobbyists. Another one is the fact that a lot of legislation that we see passed in Washington, D.C. is not drummed up by actual congressmen or people in the government. They're written by a brokerage clearinghouse run by corporations called ALEC. And so a lot of the legislation is just picked out by our politicians that is written word for word by corporations. And so a lot of these spending bills are packed full of this kind of legislation that are just handouts to what corporations want. And then another part of this we see is that a lot of this money, it's harder to trace, but a lot of this money is handed out to pet projects of different politicians. And a lot of times it involves their family members. It can be cousins and daughters and sons, friends, and their little pet research projects. And so a lot of times these massive spending bills are just packed full of handouts to family members and their pet projects and their scientific projects and their research projects. And then, as I mentioned, also to lobbyists and also to corporations. So a lot of this money is spending, but Congress and the American government doesn't care because they get the money ostensibly for free from taxpayers, and they got no skin in the game. So they'll dish out money for all kinds of ridiculous pet projects. And the fact that Rand Paul can come up with a reasonable explanation that over $1 trillion of this money is wasteful spending is not beyond the imagination at all. But as I pointed out, we have money that's needed badly for all kinds of things that are crucial and that people need and that U.S. citizens want, but it doesn't happen. In the same way we gives out tens, if not hundreds of billions of dollars to Israel for their genocide in Gaza. We give hundreds of billions of dollars to Ukraine for a lost cause by one of the most corrupt nations on earth in a proxy war with Russia. And it's just the way the government works. And it's just disgusting how Um, we can find example after example of this, and nothing ever happens, and nobody's held accountable. Another recent examples are something like 42 billion, well, tens of billions of dollars set aside by the Biden administration. One for electric vehicle infrastructure, and another one for hooking up people in urban communities with high-speed internet. And as we found out, tens of billions of dollars were allocated and ostensibly spent to get something like 7 electric vehicle charging stations. And in the case of giving people high-speed internet, not one person was hooked up, even though tens of billions of dollars were put forward for that. So that's just how it goes. So um, my hat's off to Rand Paul for his work, even though nobody's listening to him. But that's how it works. Taxpayer money is other people's money. It's created by magic. The government gets a hold of it. They spend it on whatever pet projects they want, briberies and payoffs to everybody in the country, lobbyists, corporations, family, pet projects, and that's how it goes. If Droge ever gets serious and gets to the bottom of this, we would find huge amounts of money available to address real problems and serve actual American citizens and the needs of everyone in this country, and not all these ridiculous pet projects, payoffs, bribes, and nepotism. I'm a useful idiot, don't you be one too?